Good evening and welcome to the Nevis newscast. Today is Tuesday, November 24th, 2015. I'm Donis Wilkinson Keynes. One man is dead as a result of a shooting incident which occurred in the Butlers area yesterday. A release from the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force states that the Violent Crimes Unit is investigating the shooting death of Lofton Mills of Bricklin Village. Reports indicate that the incident occurred at a construction site in Butlers Village about 7:15 a.m. yesterday, Monday, November 23rd. According to the Violent Crime Unit's report, the deceased was shot by a lone gunman wearing dark clothing. The assailant then took personal items from the deceased and fled the scene. The scene was processed by members of the Forensic Services Unit and the investigation is ongoing. The Violent Crimes Unit is asking the community for assistance with this and all cases currently being investigated and urges anyone with information that can assist the police in this or any other crime to call any police station in the Federation or the confidential hotline Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477 to share that information. Meanwhile, in a statement broadcast earlier this evening, Premier and Minister with responsibility for security on Nevis, the Honorable Vance Amory, reminded residents that it is their responsibility to be involved in the fight against criminal activity. The Premier noted that working hand in hand, the federal government and the NIA have initiated a number of policies and strategies to combat crime, but reiterated that the police need the support of the community.
We have seen in the last week and a half, and certainly yesterday, we've seen what I can only term as senseless acts of violence. We now see a young man, Mr. Walters of Taylor's Pasture, and another young man yesterday from Brickhill losing their lives. And the sad thing is the last shooting took place on a work site. That is a sad thing. So it means that here was someone going to work and someone goes there and commits this crime. That for me is unforgivable. Unforgivable.
The Premier noted that fighting crime is the duty of everyone and he appealed to persons with information to assist the police.
In the instance of the two recent shootings, I am asking anyone who has any information of whatever type to give it to the police or give it to someone who could pass it to the police. We want really to bring an end to this kind of serious violence and crime in our country. And if you know, therefore, anything, you see anything, tell it. There are secure lines or the safety lines, the tips line, which you can call, which is advertised all the time. There are certainly members in the community, leaders in the churches, whom you respect and revere, who I'm sure will be able to guide you in the process of providing information. It's not a party political issue. This is not a denominational issue. This is a matter for the entire populace of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Premier Amory also extended condolences to the relatives of Lofton Mills and Jervin Walters.
I want to extend to the families of those who have suffered as a result of violence, shooting death, losing a father, son, uncle, brother, whatever, losing property, suffering the violation of their homes. I want to extend on behalf of the administration and the federal government as well our serious, deep concern and to re-establish and pledge ourselves to do what we can and to put in place to enhance and improve and increase our efforts to rid ourselves of criminality in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Vance Amory. Chairman of the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation NHLDC, Minister the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, is hopeful that the construction of a road at Garner's Estate in St. James's Parish will lead to more development in the area. Minister Jeffers made the comment as he gave a recent update on the road construction project.
Sometimes persons hold back on construction because the infrastructure is not in place. But by giving the infrastructure, we are hoping that they would that would lead to many more persons coming and building in the area. You have a lovely view of the Atlantic Ocean, a lovely view of the peninsula area, and also St. Kitts. And also in the background you have a lovely view of Nevis Peak. So this area, I consider it to be high-end, and it's an area that we expect to see some beautiful homes being constructed shortly. And if I may go further and say there are various developments earmarked for just northwest or southwest of where we stand. So it means then that over the next couple of years we're hoping to see some robust activity in this area, the area we call Ghana's and beyond.
Minister Jeffers also spoke of plans to extend the Shaw's Road, making a connection between Newcastle and Fountain.
We are hoping to take Shaw's Road from the bottom of Shaw's Road, where the island main road, where Shaw's Road meet the island main road, and take it all the way up to an area called Gohel, which is in Fountain, just next to the playfield in Fountain. That is one of the commitments we would have made in terms of improving the road network in the area, so that there can be access from Fountain and Mount Lily to Newcastle and the Vance International Airport as well. So that we're hoping to have hopefully commenced next year. And then that would certainly open up all of these areas for future development as well.
The NHLDC, according to Minister Jeffers, is doing what it can despite limited resources to bring relief to the people of Nevis in terms of requests for road construction. He is, however, appealing to residents to be patient.
And I'm just asking for patience on the part of, or for most of the persons who are requesting and demanding that the roads be done. We are going to get to you. But it's a matter of getting some of these roads that were earmarked to be done years ago. We are now trying to catch up and move to more recent requests.
Chairman of the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers. Still to come.
And I am happy that both organizations have partnered with us in putting this meeting on today.
The details after this break.
Get this map. Are you ready? I got the spirit of a fighter. Never ever quit. I got future to be brighter. Tired of this shit. So when they say when I play the funny thing.
This is my story, real get a story. Hey, I remember those days when hell was my home, when me and mama bed was a big piece of foam.
Welcome back. In a few weeks, patients in St. Kitts and Nevis who need a magnetic resonance imaging or MRI scan will be able to receive that service without leaving the country. This was disclosed by Minister of State with Responsibility for Health, the Honorable Wendy Phipps. Minister Phipps, speaking on a recent edition of the Working For You radio program, said this was made possible through an investment by the private sector. Minister Phipps said the government is in the negotiating phase with that entity in terms of getting the best prices. An MRI is a test that uses a magnetic field and pulses of radio wave energy to make pictures of organs and the structures inside the body. In many cases, MRI gives different information about structures in the body from what can be seen with an X-ray, ultrasound, or computed tomography or CT scan. Minister Phipps pointed out that the government alone cannot supply all the needs of citizens, and that is why public-private partnerships are important. She noted that there is a new model of development going forward that is already catching on even in first world countries, where the approach to development is not just in terms of what government provides in terms of taxes, but what can be achieved in terms of bringing services to people by public-private partnerships. The Caribbean Institute for Women in Leadership, CIWIL, in collaboration with the United Nations Entity for Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women, UN Women, and the NIA's Ministry of Social Development hosted a CIWIL strategic plan consultation yesterday, Monday, November 23rd, at the Mount Nevis Hotel. Junior Minister of Social Development, the Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams, coordinated yesterday's consultation, having insisted that it take place in Nevis. In a briefing following the meeting, she gave the press these details.
What we saw happening here today was a meeting of the minds. Persons or young women who are in leadership, young women who are aspiring to become politicians, and young leaders who are at the management level. This meeting was forged out of a desire to have more women interested in leading and becoming more involved in active politics. And based on my training and being beneficial from the trainings of CIWIL and UN Women, I thought it was necessary to ask for such a meeting to be held in Nevis. And I am happy that both organizations have partnered with us in putting this meeting on today.
Senior lecturer in the Department of Government, Sociology and Social Work at the UWI campus, Cynthia Barrow-Giles, noted that women should strategize in order to be successful in the political arena.
The primary message I wanted to bring to the women of St. Kitts Nevis is that there are opportunities for them to advance themselves, and they have to be able to strategize in a number of ways. Some of the strategies, of course, are old and tested. Some are still new, but whatever it is, they cannot give up, because what we do not want to see is a reproduction of a situation where men continue to dominate politically. That is the essence of my discussion. I have to say that at the end of the day, given the discussion that took place following the formal presentations, that I think there's a lot of excitement from what I see. I believe there's quite some optimism on the part of many of the young people I see there, and at the end of the day, there were quite a number of suggestions made by the participants in terms of how they could immediately advance the cause of women in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Coordinator of CIWIL, Unamay Gordon, outlined the objectives.
The CIWIL strategic plan will focus mainly on looking at increasing women in leadership, women in political participation, active politics, a mentoring component, and we will also be looking at women in business and how we can give them support. Recognizing that if we are to advance in our societies, women makes up 50% of our population. But as Cynthia just said, that St. Kitts has one woman in the parliament. One. So one elected member, the others are selected. What then is the reason for this non-participation at the highest level of our women in the political process and in the parliamentary and in the democracy?
Also a part of the panel, member of the Federal Parliament, the Honorable Marcella Liburd, said she was pleased that she attended the meeting.
I'm happy that I attended this meeting today. I think it's timely. I think we need to refocus on trying to see how we could get more women to participate in active politics, to run for political office. And so I think this session this morning was very good in terms of the views that were expressed by the presenters and by the people generally when we opened the floor. I only hope that we would see a follow-up to this soon.
Member of the Federal Parliament, the Honorable Marcella Liburd. As the deadline for its online application period for the semester beginning in January 2016 nears, the University of the West Indies UWI Open Campus is providing another opportunity for prospective students to get information about its offerings. Coordinator at the Nevis site, Isabella Byron, is inviting prospective students to participate in its information session on Thursday. Participants will receive information about the wide variety of courses and programs offered by the UWI Open Campus site. These include management, finance, accounting, sociology, social work, education, and paralegal studies. Certificate, diploma, associate, bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degree programs are also offered. Information will also be given about programs offered at UWI's Mona, St. Augustine, and Capel campuses. The session will take place from 1:30 to 5:30 p.m. on Thursday, November 26th at the Nevis Public Library. For more information, contact the UWI Open Campus Nevis site at 469-0389 or email nevis@open.uwi.edu. That's it for this evening's edition of the Nevis Newscast. Thank you for viewing. I'm Donis Wilkinson Keynes. Good night.